Alleged puppy mill is discovered operating out of an area very close to us. Let's go live now to Tasha Jamerson. She's joining us from the SPCA in Hunting Park with that story. And Tasha, some disturbing allegations of abuse.
Absolutely, Carly. You know what? The animals were in such bad condition that SPCA workers say they are still cringing today. One agent told me on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the absolute worst he's seen, well, he says this case is definitely a 9 or a 9.5.
How come somebody can neglect such a small creatures? You know, it's very difficult to see this kind of cases.
The Pennsylvania SPCA says the conditions where these Airedale puppies were found was absolutely horrific.
The backyard of this property was quite horrendous. These animals were living in wire cages with no food and water. The cages had not been cleaned. They were loaded with feces, mud. It was just a horrendous mess.
The puppies, along with their parents, were found in the backyard of this home on Boyer Street, covered in mud and feces, forced to sleep in metal cages without food or water. It's what was done to these puppies that's most disturbing. Their tiny tails were amputated without any antiseptic.
When we saw yesterday all the pus coming off and skin was sloughing off and all those things. I'm not sure. We're trying to save the tail as much as possible. But if not, then we have to operate and take out the tail.
The Airedales, along with several other dogs like this bulldog and this bull terrier, were kept at 2 different locations owned by the same man, someone the SPCA is very familiar with. David Pippin. Well, he was charged back in 2003 for animal cruelty.
He felt that there was absolutely nothing wrong with the way these animals were kept. It's just disheartening to see you know, how people will just treat these animals and just leave them in those kind of conditions. But I guess it's not surprising in this day and age.
Which is so sad to actually have to say that. Now, David Pippin was charged last night for animal cruelty. Since this is his second offense for that charge, he could be facing jail time. As for the animals, well, they won't be available for adoption for quite some time. That's because Pippin refused to sign over the rights to the animals to the SPCA, so they have to wait for all the court orders and court papers to go through with that. And first priority right now, just the health of those puppies. Carrie Lee, they are in really, really bad shape. It really breaks your heart.
It does. These stories are always so hard for us to hear about and have to report.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Tasha.